Hello, welcome to Rightist Talks, where we talk about the economic and political right wing of the globe. Today we're going to be talking to a trans Republican from Georgia. We have some disagreements, and that's completely fine. And that's the entire point of Rightist Talks, is to advance the ideas of economic and personal liberty that was founded in the Enlightenment. So let's talk to our guest. I guess you know what we're doing today.
What?
I'm gonna do like interview thing, I guess, again.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
So as we start, I guess I'm gonna say that I have a name for this. I have a name for the podcast, and and I'll show you the video afterwards. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a few people that I have in mind that I'm gonna interview, and you're just one of them.
Yeah.
The name for this podcast is gonna be Rightist Talks. Okay. So it's gonna be, it's called Rightist Talks, but it's gonna be mainly like I guess like the economic right, and there's not gonna be too many like reactionary types, I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, just not too many reactionary types, because they tend to not be actually the most right wing on economics, from what we've discovered. In fact, it seems to be quite the opposite. It actually seems to be like the more reactionary someone is, the less economically liberal they are.
Yeah, it's like fourth theory or something.
Yeah, like fourth theory. It's kind of, it's like really funny because like you can be pretty reactionary and be very, very economically liberal. I mean, look at Pinochet. But like at some point, like it somehow starts contradicting itself and like becomes something else. But like also like, was Pinochet really as reactionary? He was just more of just an authoritarian. Like,
Yeah.
like
He hated those commies, that's for sure.
yeah, he did hate commies. I mean, but like, I will say in one way he was pretty he was pretty reactionary, I guess, in a way, against communism and stuff like that. But I mean, like, he wasn't reactionary in the sense of like forces against markets. He did establish a military dictatorship, though.
Yeah.
That was, kind of U.S. funded. Hey, better dead than red, so,
Yeah.
I guess so. We also did support, a little guy over in Spain called Franco.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true, too. So, I guess as we start this interview, first off, explain what your political views are. First, like, give a general definition, and then like define it in U.S. definition.
Oh, okay. Well.
And when I mean
U.S.
U.S. definition, don't use like stupid like words that Americans use for describing. Like, I just mean like in like the U.S. perspective,
Okay. Well. So my views, as somebody, I'm a classical liberal, and I guess I would say I'm pretty progressive. I'm not like a woke progressive, though. I'm not
No.
that level.
I think the word you're using is technological progressive.
Okay. Yeah, that is true. I'm transhumanist, as well. So, technology, very good. I believe in free markets and all that stuff, liberty, justice for all, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then in U.S. terms, I guess, like a liberal Republican.
Yeah, I mean, but I wouldn't describe you as a Rockefeller, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because like, first off, the liberal republic. I think we need a little bit of a better term than that. I think in the U.S. term, you're closer to a more because when you say liberal, we're not talking about American liberals. We're talking we're talking about European liberals, because like a liberal Republican would be someone like Phil Scott in Vermont, if you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Phil Scott, oh God. That if there was a RINO, he would be a RINO. You know who Phil Scott is?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Phil Scott was like the first governor to ever introduce gun control into Vermont. I mean, and he's a Republican. I mean, also remember it's Vermont, and guess how much of the vote he won? Over 70%.
Yeah,
like,
that kind of sucks.
So like, it's Vermont. Like, this is the state that elected Bernie. Okay, like this is the state that literally has it, that created its own political party, a third party that specifically only wins in Vermont, called the Vermont Progressive. I think it's the Vermont Progressive Party, and it's literally they created it to make like, they thought progressive Democrats were too right wing, so they made their own party.
Damn.
Like, okay, like this is like they thought the progressive Democrats were just too right wing, so they had to create their own party to represent a political minority in Vermont, and they are in the state legislature. There's like a dozen seats or something like that in the state legislature. Wow. So it's like, this is not like, you know, a very right-leaning state, you know, Vermont.
Yeah.
It's quite the opposite. It's actually probably like the bluest state. It is literally the bluest state in the country. Bluer than California, bluer than New York, bluer than like all the other blue states. So.
Yeah, because there's not as many people as well. So.
Yeah, there's not many people. It's a rural state, which is bizarre. That's one thing. Like they're a different type of Democrat from what you see. Like, they're not. I wouldn't describe them as like the woke-toids of San Francisco, but they're more like I use this word, left liberal.
All right.
Oh.
Yeah, that's my mom.
Okay. Oh, are we good?
Oh yeah, we're good.
Okay. So I use the term to describe Vermonters as like almost left libertarian, but like I don't know exactly. I never really been to Vermont, but I would describe them as that because they are they're more pro gun rights and other things. So that's interesting. It's interesting to see that. They're not like, actually, you know, the funniest shit though is like you look at this, according to Cato, you look at the state, you look at New York, like, and this is like reporting back in like 2019, the stats.
Yeah.
But they rank both number 50 in both economic freedom and personal freedom in each state. So it's like, you know, blue state. Like I think Vermont's like 40 something, like 42nd maybe, or something like 46. No, I think it's 46 in economic freedom, and like 4th in personal freedom, which is like, that's what they try to like play out blue states as, you know, like that they have higher personal freedom than, you know, red states, but that's just not the case. I mean, Vermont does, but Vermont's like outside. If you look at like California, for example, California is only middling in personal freedom. It's like 26, and its regulatory policy is legit like the worst in the country. So yeah, like it. When you look at it, it's like, well, actually, hold on a minute, like, and it's, you know, it's not like red states do pretty bad on very red states do pretty bad on personal freedom, and this was based off of 2019 statistics, but like they do pretty bad on personal freedom too, but like a place like Florida, it's like, I think second overall, it's second overall in the Cato Institute. It's like 12th in personal freedom and number 1 in economic freedom. So it's like,
wow.
Well, yeah, it's doing pretty well. I mean, I think, like, let me comment something on, like, Governor, our Governor DeSantis.
Yeah.
So, we all know Governor DeSantis is a culture warrior boy. Like he's out here like going on about like the Disneys and stuff, and like whatever the thing of the day is. I mean, he legit is like he's really like based off of our election, he's very popular in Florida. Like he's not like like the news wants like legit like wants people to believe like he's the most unpopular guy on the planet, but based off of like our election, like he won 60% of the vote. Like that's in my county, like it was like decently red. And my county is, first off, we have St. Pete in our county, where I live. So like so like this is kind of funny, you know what I mean? Like our county was pretty red, like basically every county. I counted in our entire state, there was 5 counties that went blue in total.
Damn.
So like it was like an entire red map, and like it was like one county in Orlando, Broward County, which that was like
wasn't Miami red?
Yeah, Miami was red.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, Miami's actually become. It's not actually that insane.
Because there is a lot of like Cubans, so.
Yeah, it's not actually that insane because it's become. I seen it become, like it's become redder over time, and you know how much Ron DeSantis won of the Cuban vote? Just guess.
75.
It's 70.
70. Okay.
I think it's 70, but yeah, 75, 70. I still like that's quite a bit, Like it's like he won 65% of the white vote, and then the area where he struggled was with African Americans, 13%, which that's like I mean we that's historical factors, of course, that play into that. Behind that, it's funny because like African Americans are like the most conservative like Democrats ever, like
Clarence Thomas.
Clarence Thomas is a Republican though, I'm pretty sure, right?
No, I think he's a Democrat. But
wow.
He's just
really
really conservative. Yeah, he's like one of the oldest serving justices. He's from like the 80s, 90s. So.
Wow, that's okay. Let me look that up real quick. I'm sorry, quick. Yeah, but like the idea of like a conservative Democrat, it's like nowadays like almost nearly don't exist. I'll say that. I think we both know that,
Yeah.
Like the idea of like the only place where a conservative, like I think like there's like one governor in like Louisiana that's a conservative Democrat, and then we have like Joe Manchin, but like in general, Democrats nowadays, there's almost none. Yeah, so recently it looks like you might be right. I'll have to look into that. That's kind of interesting because we all think of him as like the conservative, like like we all associate him with the Republican Party, Clarence Thomas. So, I mean, we look at like it's funny because like when they, I think some things that we know like over time that they have done, like they purged in the 90s there were like I think 40 Democrats or something in the House that were like pro-life, and they purged all of them basically. But now there's only one.
Really?
Yeah. So
I'm surprised they're still even on.
They like purged all of them. I mean, you had like a progressive like Dennis Kunech, who's like a sock he's a sock dem, so a social democrat and progressive wing of the party, and he was like when he was elected like back in the 90s, he was like he was positioned on the left wing, and he was fiercely he was pro life, and you know like it like let you know Dennis Kunitz was not like a social conservative either. I mean, at all. So I mean he like you know like actually it's funny because like the Democratic Party like had a really fucked up position. Like the moderate Democrats had a really fucked up position for a while. Like you look at like their thoughts on like gay rights, you know, at one point, like like it's crazy, like up like to 2000s, you know what I mean? Like we in the 2000s, like they were like against like gay marriage and stuff, like moderate Democrats, which is wild, and like it's like such a wild position though. It's like, oh yeah, we're both like pro-choice, and we hate the gays, you know, like. I mean, I don't want to say hate the gays. I'll believe that, but you know, they went on and like basically said like marriage is between a man and woman like 2008, which is wild, you know. It sounds crazy. It sounds crazy, and that was the Democrats. That wasn't like Republicans. Like Republicans, of course, were saying that. I mean, and also the Republicans, you know, wanted to appeal to like the Christian right, which is really fucked up. Especially, like you look at the Wikipedia article on the Christian right, and like you see a lot of fucked up things in there. It's not. It's like. I mean.
I wonder what would happen if Republicans stopped appealing to Christian right.
I mean, you have so many cultural issues too. I mean, but like yeah, the Christian right is a big issue in of itself. I mean, I feel like though like here's a big problem. So, like we have like in the cities we have like legit like, you know, like progressive politics. It's like there's like no opposition. You know what I mean? Like in cities.
Yeah.
So and then of course in like a rural state like Mississippi or Alabama or much of Georgia where you live, you know, that's really where like the Christian right only really survives in like the rural southeast, you know, like it doesn't really like prosper, like it doesn't even really prosper in Florida, so you know like our type of right wing is more like, oh, own the libs, and I don't even know like what, like I don't think Ron DeSantis really appeals much. Like I don't really know if like as much as like they want to like make it out to be, I don't know if Ron DeSantis is really like a, you know, like Christian. Like I don't think Ron DeSantis necessarily appeals to the Christian right exactly. I feel like he appeals to more of this like internet anti-woke types, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, so oh yeah, I sent you that really crazy thing that like was like going through like the House and like Senate in Florida with like the death penalty, and like you know why they even created that bill?
Why?
So it was, so you know what the Parkland shooter was?
Yeah.
Yeah, down in southern Florida. He killed 17 people. So they were like, well, look, they only got I think was it like 9, was it 9 or 10, 9 or 10 out of I think it was 9 or something. Was it 9? I think it was 9 out of 12. So of like them to like go for the death penalty, and then like legit like first reaction is like, why don't we just change this to 8? And I'm like, well, what? Like, no, that's not a smart idea. That's not the, like, first off, I know your thoughts on the death penalty, and my thoughts are a little bit different. Like, you do believe that like the death penalty should be instituted, right? Like and unanimity. So there's I'm pretty sure there's 2 steps. So like it's not like the death penalty is like going to be like very easily instituted in Florida anyway. But you still have to remember, like, even after the second step, like, still you need unanimity. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just. It's not like this is like very easily instituted, anyways. But historically, I mean, there was 3 years in this country where the death penalty was banned, not because it was a cruel punishment. I think it wasn't because it was a cruel punishment, because they considered it unusual. Because in southern states, they would use it against black people a lot. Like, because they had, like, a lower standard and were biased against it in the past. And this was, like, 1973 to 1976. It was 3 years where the death penalty was banned nationwide. My thoughts on the death penalty are that the death penalty should be never used, but obviously you have slightly different thoughts on that. And I will say that after this process is done, it's seen, like, studies show that it's more expensive to institute death penalty than not. My thoughts are more on basis of, like, libertarian thought on this, and because libertarian thought on this, and it's because I don't believe the state has the right to kill, and also I feel like the human life deserves value, value, even in like extreme cases. Now, like, obviously but there are places in the U.S. where the death penalty is abolished. I think you know this, right? Like, there are actually, well, quite a few states that the death penalty is abolished. A lot of them in the Northeast. Maine, I think Maine abolished the death penalty in 1870. Quite a while. So yeah, the Netherlands also abolished the death penalty in 1870. From what I know, most of Europe, actually, to join the EU, you have to abolish the death penalty, and this was the reason why. I'll tell you the reason why. They had a little thing called World War II over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it was actually the people who pushed for the death penalty to be abolished was actually under CDU. Like, in Germany, at least, was under CDU lead, which, if you don't know, is their center-right conservative party. It's Christian democracy, but you get what I'm saying. It's more, I guess, more conservative party. I guess there was some influence from Hayek and stuff. But so, like, that party was the one that was pushing for the death penalty to be abolished there. Back after World War II. Swiss Constitution, I know it's illegal, but yeah, definitely, one thing that we disagree on. And like, let's think about this. Well, so what do you think? Like, is there any Democrats that you admire? That's actually a good question. That you know of. I
mean, Joe Manchin, I guess.
I guess, yeah, because he kind of, like, splits the vote, you know what I mean, all the time.
Yeah.
That's like the one example of, like, there's literally, like, yeah, like, one in the Senate and, like, maybe, like, a few in the House that are conservative Democrats, as we just described, you know. They get, like, yeah, I guess Joe Manchin, but I guess, like, I mean, this the guy over in Colorado, Gerard Polis, I mean, he obviously, he has some really absurd like, on economic policy, he's great, but he has some really absurd opinions, like, in Colorado, there's no restrictions on abortion at all.
Yeah.
That's absurd. That's actually, like, when I say no restrictions, like, California has restrictions on abortion.
Colorado,
California,
they have, like, they have no restrictions on anything, bro.
Yeah, Colorado legit has no restrictions on abortion, which is fucking wild. Like, there's up to up. I can actually let me actually pull up that map because this is ridiculous. When I discovered it. I think there's like 7 states that somehow have no restrictions on abortion, which is fucking insane to me. Like I don't understand like how yeah, you know, actually let me zoom in on this. Okay, so if you I don't know if you can read this. The green is the green is legal at any stage. Well, the light green's legal at any stage. The little bit darker green in Virginia is legal up to like legal through the 2nd trimester, I think.
Black. Wow, I'm surprised at Alaska.
Yeah, Alaska. I don't think the black is all illegal, and then they're like so you'll see basically our entire like South has basically like made abortion illegal. At Florida just passed 6 weeks, so but of course it's being they just like changed it on here. March 18th. I don't know. They just changed this map because now it shows Florida have like a red thing around it. So there are currently a few states that have like bans that could go through, but are not currently. That includes Utah, Arizona, Wyoming, and Indiana. Like it's funny. Like, well, I showed you that clip where it was like of the Wyoming, where it was like they're like, oh, yeah, you know, like, well, actually it says in the Constitution this, like no, like that's not like it. It says in the Declaration of Independence. Well, I mean, of course, like that's not law, but what it says in the Declaration of Independence. It says right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. You're missing one of those in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because like the argument that you often hear from like a lot of the pro-choice arguments actually seem like very, very, very like misogynistic in a way, because they're like, well, women like they can't get jobs or something, because it's like, wow, holy shit, man. Like, like they can't like do certain things because if they get pregnant. And I'm like, wow, like holy shit, that's not a great argument. Like it's actually, I'm currently reading Nozick, Anarchy, State, and Utopia. You know who Robert Nozick is?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Robert Nozick. So there was John Rawls and Robert Nozick. John Rawls was the person before. Rawlsianism is basically this concept that so Rawlsianism before, and I'll explain who Robert Nozick is. He's like the person that wrote a book that criticized John Rawls' thought theory. Oh yeah, so John Rawls' book was called A Theory of Justice. And A Theory of Justice, what it explains is that he believed that the most just system is a system where that it benefits, the economic system benefits the bottom the most. So he would say that if you had a baby that like was floating around the earth and you wanted to introduce him to a world, what world would you want him to introduce to, no matter what? So that Rawlsian views the how the government should structure things. This is philosophy. So Rawlsian would believe that how the government should structure things is to serve the bottom the most. And then Nozick said, no. Actually, the proper theory of justice is a theory of justice that is based off of a minimal state. So basically minarchism, a legal, like court system, police, prison system, military. You know, that's the entire, you know, state. It is that's the entire government. And Robert, there's a bunch of like concepts in there where he like argues and like what generates a minimal, because he starts from the position of anarchy. He starts from a individualist anarchist perspective, but then he like works his way up to start explaining why these things, and then starts criticizing other ideas like Rawls, Marxism, like labor theory of value, all of those concepts too. So it's you know, and at the end he explains why he views this world as the utopia, basically. That's why it's called Anarchy, State, and Utopia. It's kind of like the title is literally like kind of like the parts of the book, you know.
Yeah.
So
well,
yeah.
This has been great. I gotta go now.
Okay. Bye.
Heading to a dinner.
Okay.
For my family.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's been good talking.
Yep.
And I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.